We are on.
We're on.
Oh, you remember that conversation we had in a podcast like 2 years ago? And I said on, and you were like, on.
On.
No.
On.
It's on.
Yeah. So
How do you say orange?
I pulled up old clips like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was one of them that popped up.
Yeah.
Had me rolling on the ground laughing.
Bro, okay.
The on fiasco.
Wow.
How do you say orange?
Orange.
Oh, I can't do
What do you
it.
say, orange?
Yeah, I say orange.
Orange.
Orange?
Hey guys, I'm gonna go grab some orange juice. Orange.
Oh
is
no,
how I
you say orange.
Oh,
You say orange juice.
Orange.
My mom says coffee.
Huh.
So
I say
I'll
coffee.
do a mix between coffee, and that's about it. I don't do coffee or whatever you did. That was weird.
Coffee.
I'm gonna have a cup of coffee.
Coffee. My mom says coffee.
Coffee.
Where's my coffee?
Then there's water for the Delco folks.
Water.
Gonna get some water.
Water.
What
I say
about-
water.
I
Water.
Yeah, water.
No, I
Maybe
say
it's a combination.
I'd like a glass of water, please. Water. I do the D, but it's a wah. It's not.
You know what annoys
Water?
me? When people overpronunciate the letter T.
Oh yeah.
There's no need for it.
Dude,
it can be a D. Like there's no need.
Well, so there was this girl in my class, graduating class. She is a hyper genius. Did every test and all that, like certified genius, and she pronounces her words like this, and like she does the.
But that's actually you can't bust the T people, and you can't bust those people because they're technically doing it correctly.
It's a good point.
Like they really are. Need or not.
Yeah. Okay.
It is done correctly. So, Manny, thanks for hanging out with us. This is only the second one of these we've done. Manny has been doing. Manny actually set up this podcast studio. We've done a ton of these together.
Yeah.
But with these, we're basically, it's kind of cool. Like it's very chill. We're just kind of talking what we did today. It's the end of the day, and we're going through stuff. So, without naming specific clients and things like that, what'd you do today?
Oh my goodness. So,
Manny, by the way, Manny's our integrator. We use EOS, so we call it integrator. You could think of it like a COO, like a chief operating officer, kind of a role. He gets stuck doing everything. So right now, sales is a huge part of your world as we're getting some new sales systems together. He's testing stuff out so that we can then get somebody in that role that he doesn't have to sell anymore.
Yeah.
But
maybe I want to sell though.
Hey, if you want to.
Maybe the integrator stuff is what we need to replace.
I have this wife named Jody who I mentioned that to today.
Oh.
She is in an interesting time in her journey. Her skill set could not be more perfect for that. She's a little bit too much of a ball buster. Sorry if that phrase offends anybody. I don't really care that much, to be honest, because then you probably don't want to be her client. But anyway, so she's a ball buster, but she does it in these. It's kind of like
she did it to me this morning. Actually. She did.
Wait, what?
No, and I need that because there's not I don't really have anyone holding me accountable. And you talk about it all the time.
Oh my gosh, I hate that
for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, this morning there was a document that was supposed to go out yesterday by every single team member. Well, guess what? The one person that should be setting the example was the only person that did not send out that document on time, and she held me accountable this morning, which I appreciate.
And I didn't even know that, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciated that because like. Honestly, the thing was 75% done. I just needed to button it up and send it out. And I didn't, because there's things that just kind of get backed up, when especially in a position like mine, and I love it, but there's kind of like 3 different roles that I fill. And I need that accountability because I'm just going to miss stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I missed.
Yeah.
You just went off the rails there. But seriously, I miss stuff. So I need that accountability. And with 3 roles, I think this is a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about because AI, like I feel like those 3 roles that I'm fulfilling right now, I feel that I'm doing a good job at each of those, but I'm not doing a great job at each of those. But if I didn't have AI supporting me in those roles, I would be doing an abysmal job at all 3 rather than just a good job at all 3.
And like these videos we just talked, I mean, Mark, go like chat for a minute about even like what you're doing with these videos.
Well, so what I'm doing with the videos is I am what would normally take probably, I don't know, a day to create a whole blog post of the transcript, like gather all that information, take notes from the transcript, write it out manually for the blog post. Is I'm creating an AI, basically a chat bot within ChatGPT, that will allow me to just input the transcript of this, and it'll automatically create the blog post. It'll automatically create a picture, like an image.
Not just create the blog post, but like saying the audience is potential customers of 5K and current customers, and we've already trained the AI to understand what 5K is and doesn't mean. So like it'll translate all the stuff we're talking about into actionable things that they can actually utilize in their business. That's the whole goal.
Yes.
I met with Brian today. Brian is our paid media director. Is that what his title is? So, and he said, hey, we're in PA, Pennsylvania, so I need to share with you that I'm recording this conversation, which every conversation in this building is recorded.
He said that?
I said, well, I assumed you would. Like, I just assume when I'm in meetings now after AI, I assume everything's being recorded because everyone is going to take whatever we talked about, dump it into a thing, make a thing, like, you know, and I'll explain what things are a little more. But he found a company called Plod. I have not researched in depth yet, other than the fact that they've got thousands of 5-star reviews on Amazon.
Dude, it's wild.
It is it's the size of like one of those old, remember the big things you'd put in your ear? Like the jawbone, I think the jawbone. There's a company that made a long tubular looking thing earpiece.
Yes.
This is shaped like that, but it goes in a watch thing, and it literally is on all day. Recording everything around you. And then at the end of the day, it gives you a transcript of everything that happened that day, things you need to keep in mind to not forget. I think, and Brian wouldn't care. All of us have challenges sometimes. He was realizing he was missing some things, like, because it gets complex. You'll talk about 17 different things in a meeting.
Well, especially when you're meeting with Dave Conklin. For sure.
Dude,
you'll have 17
That text thread this morning, oh my word. I woke up and there's like 30 text messages from him about all these different like ideas that he has that he wants to implement, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So, and the point of that is to get them into our sheet so that they're all there and logged, and I don't have to think about them all the time, because I hate it that one of the visionary challenges is you come up, and I hate calling myself a visionary. The only reason I use that phrase is because of EOS. It's integrator and visionary. Sure. Elon Musk is a visionary. I am not a visionary. I am a Swiss Army knife that takes different things and figures out how to do cool stuff. But visionaries are people that invent things that do not exist. I don't do that. I use current things that exist and kind of mix them up in a bowl and figure out how to do cool stuff. But anyway, so this whole Plod thing records everything, and then you get this download at the end of the day. Well, my thing, I've wanted to journal so badly.
I know you've talked about
that. And because I wish now so bad that I could go back to 2003, 2004 and read the way I saw the world, the way I saw business. Like, that would be so valuable. And then if you think about it, if you have everything in your life transcribed, you can then use that as like a I don't know, a bucket of knowledge.
Sure, a knowledge base.
A knowledge base, thank you. And then you can do anything out of it. So, like, based on my life last year, what would you say? Like, rather than me say, I have these core values and I'm going to try to live by them, what would you say my core values were last year based on how I actually acted?
Imagine having the conversations that you've had with your wife.
Dude.
And never forgetting a birthday or an event
or when your spouse,
the ketchup is.
or when the spouse says, you know, well, yeah, but last year you said blah 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 blah. Like,
it could be used as a defense mechanism as
Like,
well.
sure
Like, I did not say that. What I said was, although the wives are usually right.
Yeah, they are. But I promise you, if I record every single conversation, and I said to Brian, like, you should just put a button on that says, like, I'm recording you, and then everybody's all good. So yeah. So today for me, go ahead.
No, I wanted to what you were saying about all the things you're doing with AI for the blog posts and stuff. We've been talking about doing that for 3 years.
We have.
But the issue always has been bandwidth.
How do you? Yeah.
We've never we never really wanted to hire someone to do that specifically because we always thought it could be done, but every time we tried to go down that road, there was always bandwidth issues. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, because of AI.
Really cool.
Because of AI. And also it's kind of cool because when it's your kid, and who know, we want to sell this thing by in 2029. We publicly talk about that. Our team knows about it. So we want to grow it extensively over the next 5 years and sell it. And for the boys, sorry, I know Matt and Mark will be in their mid-20s at that point.
Yeah.
So they'll obviously through an inheritance they might end up being in a good spot and they could start their own thing, or we could sell this and then they could start one very similar to it or whatever. Right. My point is in saying all that I love the idea that they're actually hearing these conversations and they're a part of it, because that's going to help them to understand how I think. Yeah. Not that it's the best perfect way to think, but it worked for me in building these businesses. Sure. So, and I came from nothing.
Well, through osmosis. Like that's I came here 3 years ago knowing zero things about marketing, zero things about AI or automation. It all came through via osmosis and really working alongside of you, Dave. So it works, man. Yeah. It works.
So today, this morning, I did start kind of texting Mark and just kind of annihilating him.
Started texting me at like 6:30. Yeah, I think it was the first text or something, somewhere around there.
And then so we had a challenge on our team. Again, I want to be transparent. We're not going to mention names, but I want to be transparent. We had a challenge on the team where sometimes I always say it this way: if there's somebody who's in charge of digging a ditch, and they could be the most positive, motivated ditch digger in the world. They love digging ditches. They're passionate about it. They've got all the shovels. They're ready to roll. They've got, drills like all that stuff. No matter what though, even if they love digging their ditches, if you go to them and you have an idea that is really cool, but it's going to require them to dig twice as long or twice as hard or have them figure out something that they don't know, there's an automatic pushback to it, often subconsciously. It's often not on the tip of the tongue, or like it's not the thought, but it's a subconscious thing. So then they respond, and it's like, so it's Debbie Downer.
You took my favorite shovel away from me. How am I supposed to dig this hole now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That kind of thing. So Debbie Downer from SNL, wah, wah, wah,
It's going.
What is happening? Oh, my dog apparently just got groomed, and I have to pay the bill. What? That sucks. Why do you have to pay for stuff? It's ridiculous. Anyway, so, but that's what'll happen. And so if you go to this great idea and stuff, and they're like, and then it's Debbie Downer, wah, wah, wah. And then what happens though is when you're on the receiving end of that, there's a deflation psychologically that happens, and then that comes through in every other area, And there's a situation where I was told that there's a couple of different things internally, externally, whatever, where like we had ideas and then it wah, 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 and that's not us and it doesn't fit our core values. So here's what was cool. I'm like, okay, I want to respond from our core values so that it's not Dave Conklin saying, no, you're doing something wrong. It's the core values that our whole team came up with. I didn't come up with those core values. The whole team collectively did. Yeah. So I was able to utilize AI and say, here's our core values. I uploaded the core value document. We're having this current challenge. Write me an energizing and motivational message that hits this issue that we're having based on the core values. And boom, that was within like 10 minutes. Got that done and out of the way. But then I was like, wait a minute, I need a tool that I can just go to. Because creating these tools anymore, if you don't need it to have a fun interface, like if it's literally just inside of your ChatGPT account, there's so many things people can do without our help. Like the basic stuff of, another example, my book, Lost at 30,000 Feet, totally outdated now. Like completely, especially with AI, like it's totally outdated. I sat down with Mark. I'm like, here's what I want you to do. You're going to take one chapter at a time. we're gonna make a what's called a project inside of ChatGPT, and we're gonna do the new version of Lost at 30,000 Feet, my book.
That's cool.
And it's a book directed at CEOs that helps them to understand the things that they don't currently understand that we do. Well, guess what? Now there's a whole nother world of this. So we're gonna do an updated version of Lost at 30,000 Feet, which means he's gonna take chapter 1, put it in, and he's gonna have guidelines. Okay. We want the same methodologies with profit paths, the same. And well, here's what's so cool. Inside of that project, he can upload our profit paths trademarked methodology. He can upload the entire Lost at 30,000 Feet book PDF, and he can tell it that the purpose is that we want to update Lost at 30,000 Feet to be like, new edition or 2025 edition or AI edition, something like that.
I love that.
And we take that book and we paste it in, and we literally say, hey, AI, rewrite this from using the same voice that Dave has, the same whatever, but rewrite it so that it's current and updated to current best practices in the industry. And then it's still me. It's still the methodologies, but it's recrafting it. That's probably going to take an afternoon.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
That's wild.
So projects like that, we can teach people easily how to do that.
Yeah.
Like, easily.
Yeah.
It's not, we can make videos and show people how. We will make videos and show people how to do that. The more complex stuff is, give me an example, actually. You just had a meeting, right? You don't have to talk about the company name.
Sure.
But like, is there an example of like something where we would come into play and build something with AI that isn't a simple chatbot?
Yeah, I would say so. I had a meeting with some folks who are in the trucking and logistics industry, and they are receiving RFPs, and they have to
Requests for proposals for anyone that doesn't know.
Sorry, yes.
Yep.
So they're receiving those, and then they are kind of plugging it into their ERP and trying to craft the proposals.
Oh my
to send
gosh,
back
yes.
So like that's something that is a manual task, and it's taking them about 4 hours for one individual to do just a single one of those.
Dang.
So
How
that
many
would
of those
be-
do they have a day?
I
Or
think
like
they
a week?
do 8 of them a week.
That's wild.
And forgive me if I'm wrong, I think that the numbers are, so I did the calculations for the entire year, and they're spending $124,000 for that specific manual task throughout the year. $124,000
That's wild.
in payroll hours.
That reminds me, here's an idea. And this is what this video is all about. I have no idea if we'll actually do this or not. But performance waste management.
Yeah.
The reason they're called performance waste management, and I think they're still a client. They were. I don't know if they still are or not. We built
They
their
still
site and
host
stuff.
with us and stuff, and
Yeah.
we do some work on the site every once in a while.
So their business model is intriguing. It's a cost savings model, which means that they get paid based on the money they save. They get 50% of the savings. So if they can go into, let's say there's a hospital network, a company that owns like 15 hospitals. Well, they have massive expenses when it comes to waste management because they hazmat, all that stuff. So what they do is they go in and they say, look, we're going to take over your waste management. You don't have to have your facilities management people do that anymore or whatever. Like we'll handle it. We're not going to actually pick up your trash, but we're going to negotiate with the vendors and we're going to do all that stuff. And then you just pay us 50% of the savings. So from where you were at to where you are now, we look at the savings, 50%.
It's performance based.
There's a performance-based model for AI. I would totally do that.
Wow.
We need to think about that. And again, now that we talked about that here on this, that will be documented and we will know when the idea sparked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you saying that right there about the RFPs at cost, that's what made me think of it. Why not do a cost savings model?
I think it's a great idea.
They can choose either one.
I think it's a great
You can pay us to do it or we'll do the cost savings model. And then we just need to get a rundown of what their expenses are and, Anyway, so that's an idea. So then I took that same, I had a couple team members. We do this thing, we used to do it at the end of every year. And it was each team member had the opportunity to actually review our company and answer questions like, does your job here, one of my favorite is, does your job here prevent you from being who you want to be at home? In other words, is it so stressful here that it's negatively impacting your home life? Or do you have to work so many hours to get your stuff done that it negatively impacts your home life? Fortunately, no one's ever said yes to that question. And I think they would be honest with me if they were. But we asked these questions. What would you do here? What if you were me? Yeah. What would your main 3 goals be in 2025? Like, we ask questions like that to get feedback from the team. So it's their chance to review us. Now, the reason I've never had an official annual review process with other people is because I'm being honest, I didn't trust directors to ask the right questions in the performance review, but I didn't want to have this corny, like, chintzy performance review that where like somebody felt like they were being like analyzed by somebody who doesn't really understand the world. So when we did them in the past, we always did self-reviews. So each team member would actually review, they would go through and answer questions and rate themselves. Well, what I did is I put together that old performance review thing. I dumped that and combined it with our core values. And then I said, if everyone always is on point with the core values as it relates to clients, our company as a whole, and what was it? Our clients, our companies, all, and the team. So the people that you work with, the company, and then our clients, then you're good to go. So I had it craft first a worksheet where that self-review can happen. But then I wanted the questions to be geared specifically to the person's role so that they were more relevant. Because there are some things, like, I don't personally get involved in actually like creating client campaigns or doing our ramp product that's new or anything like that. But I lead those efforts.
Sure.
So for me, my questions are
vision.
How are you doing? Right. How are you doing at ensuring that the team's vision, or how are you doing with ensuring that what the team is telling the clients to do or the campaigns, how are you doing it constantly? And I was to test it. I was self-evaluating, and I'm feeling like I'm feeling horrible because I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah. It took AI crafting the words differently. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Then I'm like, we need to do proactive workshops with the team and on like where anyone who wants to can come on like every other Thursday and ask me how I would handle a difficult client situation. Like, why don't we do that? Because I've never thought to do it. Yeah. You know, but why did I think to do it? Because of that self-performance review. Yeah. And so there's just so many things. But I said to somebody, I did before 11 a.m., I did more than what I would have. It would have taken me weeks literally to do what I did. And it was done better because there's the quality is there. The grammar is proper. Yeah. The language is right. You know, you can even say like, use the way I say things. I'm fortunate that I wrote a book that I actually typed. So I have a source personal brand voices. I have a source document that's pretty intense that talks like I talk, so I can use that as an example. But yeah, so what was your world? And we'll wrap it up here soon. This is I don't know how long we've been chatting, but these aren't supposed to be too long. But
are you talking about like today?
Yeah, like what was your day?
Yeah, so a lot of follow up today from previous sales calls. Some finance stuff, making sure money gets shifted around to accounts and things like that. Really productive day, mainly because AI was a big support to me.
Yes, sir.
I crafted two separate service agreements and a bunch of the follow-ups that I had going on. And it's just nice to, like, you know the words you want to say, right? And when you can direct AI in that way and it actually gives you the proper way to say those words. And just like you were saying, like, you don't think the thought is there, but you don't think to craft your words in a way that make a whole ton of sense outside of what it does in your own mind. Yeah. And I have a tendency to communicate like that. Like I will say things without giving proper context because I'm just, I don't know, call it negligence, call it ignorance, whatever. I just expect, because I already know it, that other people will also know it.
Yeah.
But that's not the case whatsoever.
Right.
I can't tell you how many countless times I've sent you a text, Dave, or an email, and you're like, like,
Yeah.
help me help you. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're trying to tell me here. AI does that
Yeah.
for me. Like,
Yeah.
and it's so cool. Like the follow-ups, I feel so much more confident in the follow-ups that I'm sending out and being able to provide value.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was just trying to make stuff up and hope, hope it sounds good.
And the other thing, what's so beautiful is it gives you an unlimited memory.
Yeah.
So, for example, we had a situation today where there was a recent sales call, and we had a call where we wanted to present. We had an idea to present, and same thing. We took the transcript from the call, dumped it in, and said, "Hey, we want." Again, we've trained all of our stuff to know our products. So, hey, we think this is the best product for this person. Take quotes out of that conversation, use that to create the needs analysis and explain step by step how this product will solve those problems. And it does it.
And you don't have to sit there and listen to an hour-long discovery call to figure out what those are. And when you can repeat those words back to them that they uncovered as a pain point for them, that's what resonates. And then you also have the solution to whatever those pain points are.
And what our services do here for our clients is automate all that.
Yep.
So like we do a lot manually because we know how to use all these advanced crazy tools. So we either teach people how to use the crazy advanced tools, but the real power is when you take, for example, Jonathan. So Jonathan he wrote something where he wants to make sure he's constantly updated on all of the goings on in AI because it's moving so fast, and he's kind of got the responsibility here to keep our team updated on what's happening. And it's changing so quick. Like digital marketing changed quick. Like people would always be like, "Oh, we had Facebook, and then what happened to Twitter, and then like all this stuff." The rate of change now is mind-boggling. You can't even keep up with it. So what he has certain people that are tweeting every day, updates and stuff. He has all of that go in, and then it creates him an audio recording that gives him a 10-minute overview of all the new stuff that's happening that he listens to on the way to work. Yeah, it texts him in the morning,
so cool. That's wild.
And he clicks and listens to it, and then he has his update for the day. I think that's brilliant.
You made a really good point about AI and how fast it's changing. We come with the expectation too much because of how much we know about AI that everyone also knows AI. Go back to my point earlier, right? And
90% of people have never
they
even
have no idea.
They went to ChatGPT once.
Not only do they not do that because they don't have the exposure.
Right.
You know, they don't know what the capabilities are. And what's crazier to me is I'll sit on calls with prospects and we'll try to generate some ideas and work through, you know, what their current workflows are and where the bottlenecks are. What's crazy is that, and we experienced this when you guys did your on-site visit in Idaho, most teams right now don't even realize that they have bottlenecks, or they don't realize that there's solutions to those bottlenecks because their teams are coming in to work every single day doing the same things. It's monotonous, right? They have this checklist that they just go down and start striking as they go down the list. It's the same thing every day. They come in, they do the work, they go home.
You know what it's like?
They don't realize that their current workflows could be made so much easier.
Exactly.
And the other thing, go ahead.
Well, there's just make sure I don't forget the minimum wage thing. The email today with Corbin.
Yeah, that's cool.
I want to talk about that because it relates to that, and then this analogy relates directly to what you just said.
Yeah,
it's almost like. You know how, have you ever been in a shower and you're trying to rinse soap off and there's no pressure, like at camp or something, like as a kid, like there's just no pressure coming out, and it's like you're trying to rinse the soap off and you're afraid you're going to be itchy because this, all that. But imagine if you turned that sucker the whole way up. Now, if you know anything about plumbing, on a lot of those levers and stuff, you can kind of unscrew a screw and maybe like adjust the lever a little bit, Well, it's almost like, the lever, you're pushing the lever the whole way up, but what they don't realize is they just unscrewed that screw and pulled the lever out, moved it to the left a little bit, put it back in, you could actually get an additional like 50% water pressure.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Or just unclog the little holes.
Yes.
Those are the bottlenecks.
Yes, exactly. and it's like to instantaneously have an additional $300,000 in profit because instead of having to hire 3 people, you were able to take that one person who's loyal and dedicated and turn them into somebody who can do 5 times as much.
That's So that's the other thing. What I try to explain is because people are fearful of AI, like it's going to take our jobs.
Yeah.
What we're doing doesn't come with the intent to replace team members. It's to supercharge those team members so that they can get. You can get 10 times more done with the same staff that you have. It's how companies are scaling without having to hire tons of additional people on their team.
Which brings up the minimum wage thing.
Yes.
So we got one of our advisors and mentors, Dave Corbin, texted us today, and he's like, guys, this is nuts. He had recently seen the minimum wages for different areas. I think in California and some other states, I believe counties or cities are actually able to determine minimum wages. And in our market where we live, you know, $25 an hour is a $50,000 a year salary. That is a professional, maybe an entry level, higher end professional, but like that is a professional, legitimate, real salary. And that is a minimum wage. Like for people that literally flip burgers at McDonald's or work at Target stocking shelves, they're making $25 an hour. And it makes sense in those markets because the cost of living is so high. The problem is that doesn't equate to the price of eggs, to the it's
well, yeah, it just drives the cost of living even higher.
Yes. So right. So what was interesting in that dialogue that we had back and forth today was that AI is almost going to become essential because you can pay someone $25 an hour for an entry-level job if required to, if you're able to make them do the work of 3 people
100%.
Yeah.
without stressing them out, which AI can do. You know, for example, if you this idea just popped into my head. Let's say that there's somebody who's stocking shelves and they've got a big old cart from the returns area at Target. We could build something where you took a photo of all of the items you have to put away, and it would look at a store map and tell you exactly
Route
where to walk
optimization
next.
for-
So that you're not looking, where's that at? And here's this stuff and which one goes there. It literally tells you, go to aisle 15, section 3, then go to aisle blah, 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 based on the photo of what's on your cart, you know? And how much time does that save? Does that make somebody be able to stock the shelves twice as fast? Because if so, now instead of having 2 people at $12 an hour each, you can pay one person $24 an hour.
Yeah.
And is it going to require that, or is it going to make it so less people are working? Yes, but as our economy explodes, which is what's going to happen in my view, I think we're going to have a massive crash that I've been talking about forever. But when we have a massive crash and coming up out, I believe AI is going to be the savior, honestly. I hate to use that word, but I think AI is going to be the thing that saves us from a Great Depression, because what's going to happen is there's not going to be money to pay people. Like if the stock market crashes, all this money just evaporates, and the market's up so freaking high. It doesn't make sense anyway. It needs to correct itself. Right. But like, so if companies are at a point where they just can't swing hiring another customer service person, you don't have to hire a customer. If they're on the phone, you do not have to hire customer service people anymore. Because even us, we could literally, we're not building this, but we could build a system that automatically logs into the results that we've gotten and then calls our clients every week and gives them an overview of where their account's at, what we did. It could log into ClickUp, which is what we use for our project management. And like you could literally automate an entire company now, you know? And really so cool. I think that's what, if we do have a massive crash, I think that That's gonna be huge. And then the robotics part.
And that's why like being on the front end of this is so important, because like, is that company going to think about the massive impact that a shopping cart full of returns could make in a year's time?
Right.
Probably not. Which brings me back to the whole point of your team probably doesn't realize that they're experiencing the bottlenecks.
They don't
right now.
Exactly.
They don't.
Which it takes that uncover. David Corbin said something really good the other day when I was talking to him. He said, we call it discovery when we have these first initial calls to figure out about the business, start going through the workflows and learning about how they're doing things. He said, we call it discovery, but if you think about it, it's more of an uncovery. Like we're uncovering and exposing what those bottlenecks and the inefficiencies within their workflows.
Corbin.
He's
so damn good.
I know.
He's like AI.
He is.
He when it comes to messaging,
I would agree.
And language, he's got a magic brain.
You use the shower analogy. I use the shaving analogy.
Okay.
So like you're in the mirror, you're shaving in the morning, and it looks great. Like you're super happy with it. Rinse your face off. You dry off. You go on about your day. You don't realize that you just sat in a 3-hour-long meeting with a missed patch of hair sitting right here, because you never took the time to step back and look at yourself in the mirror and what you were doing after you were done with that process. Same thing with your team when they're coming into work. They're just doing this stuff, and then they're going home.
Yeah.
You got to take a step back and actually have someone else help you realize that there's an unshaven patch of hair on your chin that you should probably get taken care of.
Yeah. Discovery and uncovering.
It's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So high level, we did the performance evaluation tool. I literally have that ready. So what's going to happen is team members can either, if they want to, they can just download the worksheet and just type, and do it that way. But we made a tool today that they're going to be able to actually click a button and it'll say, hey, who are you and what do you do for 5K? And they say it. And they have a verbal dialogue where it walks them through the whole review process. Hey, how would you rate yourself 1 to 5 in the area of this? Give me an example of why you said 5 or 4. And as they're having this conversation, at the end, it spits out the sheet with all how they self-evaluated. They give that to their lead, their manager, and their manager reads it. And then they sit down together and have a conversation about it. And the manager then scores them and all that kind of stuff. On the other, that's the performance and review for the team. On the review, the annual one that we do, where the team gets to review the company, I'm gonna have those conversations, and it's gonna tell me what questions to ask. I'm gonna answer those questions, and then it's gonna log everything. The cool thing about what we do with those annual company, I'll call it a company performance review, is we have previous record of what people said going back to 2018. Oh yeah, that's right. So it's neat, like somebody like Pam or Steve who's been here for a long time. When I have those meetings, now what I've done is I took there are 70 pages each of my approximately 70 pages for each year of the combined, because I combine all the conversations into one document.
Oh, okay.
But it's impossible for me to go through all that and really pick up trends and all that kind of stuff.
No way.
Well, now I took the old ones, I put that into the engine, the knowledge base, and gave it instructions on how to guide me through those calls. But now when I meet with the team, we're gonna answer those questions, and it's gonna give me feedback on, oh, that's cool. Let Pam know she said this 2 years ago, and now she's saying the opposite, so that's fixed. And then I can see at the end of all of those meetings, I can say, hey, give me based on all these meetings, what do I need to do as a company to what's the common theme? What are people feeling and experiencing? All that stuff. And that's just so valuable. And it would have been impossible to do it that way before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
100%.
what else did we do today? So we did that. We did ramp.
Yes, we've been defining ramp a little bit more. That's the update from yesterday's video.
We were gonna we're trying to figure out how to combine the marketing action plans with the AI action plans. I think we called them a profit and productivity improvement plan.
PPIP.
Which never sat well with me. Used AI, did brainstorming for a few hours, and we came up with ramp. So you got to buy a ramp. And there's so many levels as to why that's such a cool word to use. But it's revenue. Originally, it was going to be revenue and automation mastery plan. So
that's what we said yesterday.
but now I don't know that AI did this. I think you did it.
No, we were sitting up. We were up, and it was me.
It was you. I'm sorry.
It was us up here when we talked about, because
you said you thought it was marketing,
and then I forget how we got the message at Wall. Sorry, I'm gonna.
Well, because the ramp, what our marketing action plans, which we've sold a ton of them, we give a full blown money back guarantee. We don't even ask questions. If they want their money back, they get their money back. When we do those, it's a huge part of that is messaging, and that's very valuable, and it powers all of the ad creation and all those things. So it's a great exercise. People love going through it, but we want to add AI into that. So now it's a revenue, automation, and messaging plan because it hits those three things.
Yeah.
So that's actually what we're going to name it now. And so now we have to go through though, and we have to redo all of the stuff. That would have been such a daunting. It's still daunting. There's still a lot of work to do to switch that.
Let me clarify. When Dave says we want to add AI into that process, not meaning that the entire
AI
thing
creates
is constructed by AI, but that
AI recommendations,
the AI recommendations and the plans for what's going to be most impactful for that business needs to be integrated. Into that plan.
So now doing that though, we can literally load in. Here's what, like, here's, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
And are you working on anything else right now that?
Not necessarily. My next step is to get these videos into Vimeo to then upload to the blog posts and all that, and get that tool built. Then I need to connect with you on updating all of the spreadsheets, all of the slide decks and stuff with the new ramp material.
It's going to be interesting. We might change completely in how we do everything.
So, but yeah, and then on the
that's how we roll.
Sounds par for the course, Dave.
Yeah,
awesome.
But then on the back burner, just not the back burner, but doing this slowly but surely would be slowly integrating the new version 2 of Lost at 30,000 Feet book, and yeah, that's kind of where my brain's at.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Anything else anybody wants to share?
Well, thanks for having me on. This.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're
Nice
just
to
gonna
get back
totally
in the saddle.
casual. Literally no agenda on these.
I love it.
We just yap. So anytime you want to hang out with us, feel free to come up. But
Heck yeah.
peace out.
See you guys.
Deuces.